Hey, what's up? It's Kevin Rogers. Welcome to Copy Chief Radio, brought to you by copychief.com. See how that works? Let's get into it. Hey, and welcome to Copy Chief Radio. Thanks for being here. My guest today, my great friend, Allison Carpio. Hi, Allison.
Hello. It's great to be back here for the fourth time.
I know, right? Wow. Let's just start our own show called What's Up with Allison.
I like it.
Because you always got something going. And I was just chatting with you about your evolution. How long has it been since you quit the day job and started full time?
Oh my goodness. I think 2 years back in January. So 2.5 years now.
That's
I know.
Nuts. That's nuts.
You've been with me ever since, Kevin. It's been a great ride.
Wow. It's been a joy because, if you look at just your accomplishments, it's a 5, 6, 7 year thing. But and the thing about it, Allison, is to me, you always make it look easy, right? Because I know the work is hard, but you're not stressing out, freaking out. I don't get panic calls from you. You know what I mean? Like some of the decisions are hard, but they're what I like to call good problems. Like, oh, should I take on this major client who wants most of my time, when I've got this other cool stuff going too that I don't want to neglect, and the kind of problems we want as freelancers. What do you think is like the biggest thing behind you just kind of taking it? You're driving the machine here, but not stressing.
Yeah, I think it's having a group of support. So I'm in your super group, and I think just having some peers as well as a mentor like you, and just to kind of talk things through is really helpful, especially if they're going through a lot of the same challenges and they have a really good perspective, really just hashing things out. And I think the reason why you don't see me freaking out is because I just hash it out in our private journals. Mm-hmm. And that's where I take all my emotions out. And by the time I talk to you, I've kind of thought through it already, and I'm at a more mature place. And you're like, wow, Allison's got her things together. But, I've already dealt with it.
You're hiding the freakouts from me. All right, I get it.
It's already processed by then.
That's funny. Yeah, so you live out in San Francisco, and there's been a couple specialties. And again, I just love using you as a great example of how what I call bat signals, choosing our specialty and shining our light to the world so that they shine it back at us appropriately. It's not a permanent thing. You can have several. You can have a right now one. They can change and evolve. So one of your first ones was A/B split testing. What I loved about that one was that one of the biggest concerns clients have about hiring a copywriter is, well, how do I know they'll be with me after we launch it, right? Like, I don't want them to just hand me this copy and then I can't get a hold of them. And so what I can tell people, well, Allison's an A/B split testing specialist, so to her, the work kind of starts when you start getting those results, right?
Right.
Like, obviously, she's going to write you great copy, but I don't know anyone more invested in the numbers and the results than Allison. And so that served you well.
Yeah, that made me look really good to clients who didn't even quite have the resources for split testing, but they were just like, dang, she knows her stuff.
Yeah. And that kind of led to a big position you have now with Natural Health Sherpa and Mark's team over there doing some split testing and a lot of copywriting. And what have you learned from being, behind the scenes at a high volume company like that?
Ooh, yeah. I think I learned a lot about funnel architecture and how copy plays into that. But even just, running a team, because I have a copywriter helping me out with copy. I have a designer and a developer, and really just coordinating the team has really been an interesting thing, but also always thinking about strategic improvements. I think with copy, there's just so much that could be improved, but, even outside of copy, things like front-end offers and upsells, cross-sells and downsells, there's a lot that goes into that. So that's been a really, really interesting learning for me, and getting to really be in the weeds in that has been really accelerating my growth.
Love it. And I know that Mark invests heavily in the education of all his team. And so as a part of that, you've got to be in some cool masterminds and
yes,
pretty awesome stuff. So
yeah, some good perks.
Yeah. And then the big win you had, I was fascinated. Tell us about the big win with a video adjustment recently.
Oh, yeah. So we saw a 55% boost in AOV, which is huge. And it's not something you can easily do. We mostly focus, especially for split testing, on the conversion rate, but boosting that AOV something a little bit trickier. And we know that 70+% of our traffic comes from mobile. So just by going through the funnel a couple times on our mobile device, we realized that there was an opportunity to test out a vertical video that takes up the whole screen on your phone could outperform, a horizontal video that only takes up maybe like 30-40% of your phone. So that alone, converting those upsell videos, there's like 3 of them, into the vertical videos gave us a really huge boost in AOV. And it makes sense because we kept them engaged throughout the whole VSL, and it made them want to purchase more of it. So it was a big investment. I mean, converting those videos isn't easy, but it was so worth it with that really huge win.
Yeah, that's awesome. And AOV, average order value, if anybody it doesn't know. And that's where, you get the initial sale, and then what happens after that, you might have a couple of upsells, and that's really where the money's made on the back end, as you hear. Then the things that come after that sale.
Yeah, it's like the difference between getting someone buying 1 bottle of your supplement and 5 bottles of your supplement.
Yeah, like matching the behavior of your customers, knowing that data and adjusting accordingly. Great lesson. Awesome, Allison. Well, of all the cool stuff you're doing and learning and sharing, people love getting your emails and seeing your teaching content on Facebook. The cool thing, you've got the book out now, Shut Up and Take My Money, over at takemymoneybook.com. Probably the easiest place to get that. You can also go to AllisonCarpio.com and learn more about Allison. And so today, one of the great things about this book is about understanding your customer avatar, which is your new specialty, something you're really sought after from people who want you to consult and help them make sure they really do understand their customer avatar and beyond just this sort of like image backed by stats and stories of who is most likely to buy their product, but also what does that person really want, right? We always hear, Allison, in marketing, well, there's things that people say they want or think they want, and then there's what they really want, right?
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, it's hard to dig into that. And you call those the core desires. And so let's talk about it. What are those core desires, and why are they so important for the copy?
Well, the core desires are the driving motivations and the underlying feelings that your avatar really wants that's driving the purchase behavior. So when people say people buy on emotion backed by logic, it's that emotion that they're buying based on, that they're not telling you, they're not telling even their spouse, and even sometimes they're just not even aware of it themselves, but they're just feeling it. So it's really important to get to that core desire so you can make sure that you touch on that core desire and make sure that in your copy, in your case studies, in your testimonials, that core desire, you show that it's satisfied. But also the core desire brings about some other emotions that you need to hit in your copy. So if you have that core desire nailed down, then you could really connect with your avatar in your copy and not just make a bunch of empty promises that they're kind of like, yeah, right, or that doesn't really apply to me.
Yeah, it's like getting past the surface, right? And we hear about hype and all these things. Like I want to use copy, but I don't want to be hypey, right? Or too salesy. I think that's the difference. What you just pointed out. It's like when you really understand the core desires, you don't have to be bombastic necessarily to get to it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because you're being authentic and you're really getting to the root of it that maybe other people aren't talking about. So it really sets you apart from your competitors and just makes them trust you more.
Right. So how do we discover these core desires? It's not something you can just ask people.
Right, exactly. Like, what's your core desire?
I don't know. You tell me.
They're like, what's that? Well, I think when hearing a lot of the stories and struggles from your avatar, you can really extract that out. But mainly what it comes down to is that there are about 6 or so core desires that any avatar is experiencing, and it boils down to. So once you kind of hear them and I can go through them, it'll be pretty obvious which one applies to your avatar.
All right, well, let's hear them. What are the core desires?
Okay, so there's a stated desire and there's a core desire. And the stated desire is what your avatar is really saying they want, and then how that translates into the core desire. So, for example, if your avatar is saying they want financial cushion, or they just want to be prepared, or they want savings, they want to save up. The real core desire is that they want to feel safe and feel in control because they're a little risk adverse and they're afraid of what might happen. So you need to really reassure them and make them feel really secure that they're going to be okay in the future. And a really good example of that that's sort of outside of finance, but still applies, is this company called Ring. And it's where you could put a doorbell outside of your door and you could see on your phone who's coming up to your door. And you could see it, it's recorded. You could see it on your phone. You get notified when someone's there or someone's just kind of like lurking around your porch, maybe stealing your Amazon packages, because that really happens everywhere. But yeah, I mean, like in their copy, all they say is see who's there with Ring. That's just really reassuring and makes you feel really safe and like you're in control.
Yeah, it's a great example. Wow, that's really good stuff. We'll be right back to that conversation. I want to quickly tell you about Copy Chief, the membership, the full load, the mother load. What goes on in there? You can get your copy reviewed by working pro copywriters. We do new trainings every month based on the stuff that's proven, tested, and working best in the market today. Not just copy, Facebook ads, webinars, all the stuff that you need in your funnel to optimize your sales. You're getting it in real time from the real pros inside of Copy Chief. Go to copychief.com/join and see what we got for you. Now, back to this amazing conversation. Right, so it's not, hey, be able to see who's at the door. It's like, what's going on at your house when you're not there? Who's on the other side of the door when you're not sure? Like you said, it's about safety, not just knowledge.
Yeah. And, on their website, they have this like really positive example of this like couple who's probably there for a dinner party or something and they're smiling. But what they don't do, and I think what they can do, is actually show a more concerning example where someone's like, kind of lurking around. I live in San Francisco, so there's probably a lot of homeless people just like kind of hanging out and just maybe lurking around your porch. So I think if they show an example like that, that'll show you like, hey, you're in control and you could have time to call the cops, or you basically have that visibility where if you were upstairs or if you're away from home, you wouldn't know. So even just having that knowledge just makes you feel like you're in control.
Yeah, my favorite Ring story was my friend Chris on Halloween. He put a bucket of candy and the proverbial take one sign next to it. And he was like obsessively watching the kids come up to the bucket, of candy through his ring. Suddenly he's like kind of ranting. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, look at this. This kid emptied me out. And he's like,
these greedy kids
rewinding it, watching this little girl just like take all his candy out of the bucket. It was hilarious. I'm like, man.
It's always the ones you least expect.
Exactly, right? Yeah, dressed as Little Mermaid or something over there. Just cleaned him out.
That's right. She got to it before the other people can.
Yeah, she's smart, especially. She's resourceful. So what does this look like in copy? That was kind of an example from Ring. Copy as we know it. Once we know these core desires, how do we write this in?
Well, I think it's pretty easy to show an example or exhibit it visually by telling a story. So it could there could be like for Ring, you could easily talk about how, you live in a big city and your packages kept getting stolen. But then when you got Ring, first of all, when someone drops off a package in Ring, they can notify you. So right away, like you can have your neighbor come and get it. You can go home and get it. But also you can easily watch who is, kind of lurking around. So now you don't have to worry about any stolen packages, and you could shop about Amazon as much as you can now and buy all your stuff without it getting stolen. So I think there's a lot of ways you can illustrate the core desire in the form of a story and then just show how that core desire is satisfied. Also, in your benefits and features and your promises, you want to show how that satisfies that core desire as well. And with Ring, that's pretty easy. It's like, see who's there. And, that easily can tie into how you can feel safe and feel in control, no matter where you are. Even if you're on vacation, you could see who is at your front door.
Right. Yeah. And I think, the delivery companies love this. I think it's FedEx. Now, you notice we'll send you a photo of the package at your doorstep, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so I bet they wish everybody had a ring because it's like, how much stuff gets claimed as, or if it's stolen, obviously you're like, hey, my package never came. And then there's this big, ugly process of a bunch of people losing money. So I noticed that probably because they see like, oh, the best case scenario, somebody has a ring and they know it was stolen. And then, I don't know what the policy is for Amazon if your package, I think it's on you at that point, right? Like,
yeah,
sorry, we left it there. It looked fine when we walked away.
That actually reminds me. So my friend started a restaurant. So he's working with, like Grubhub, Uber Eats, and those delivery services. And apparently those food delivery services have so much demand that they're really desperate for any kind of delivery people. And there were people who had rings, and they saw the delivery people with their food at their doorstep, literally eating the food like at their doorstep.
Oh my God.
So, it's so gross. I know I'm never ordering delivery food again, but it's like those kinds of things, like it's good to know that beforehand and you could see that. Whereas if you didn't have a ring, you might have eaten the fries where their hands were in. It's pretty gross.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, I'm listening to the book Kitchen Confidential right now, right? The Anthony Bourdain book. I'm like, man, this make me think at some point, I wonder if they'll just have cameras in every kitchen, right? And then right there at your table. Whenever I sit within eye shot of the kitchen, I wish I wasn't. It's one of those things where I want to trust the restaurant to be doing a decent job of keeping my food clean. But inevitably, you look into the kitchen and somebody's rubbing an eye. Or, you know what I mean? Scratching their head. Yeah. And you're like, oh God, they're just being human. But you're like, oh God, it's over my food. I hope that fell in the fryer. Kill it.
I mean, in some restaurants, though, like the dirtier the kitchen is, the better the food is. So it's okay.
Yeah. As long as you're not getting diseases or viruses, you're good.
What you don't know won't hurt you.
Exactly. That's one of those times. Sure. So any other examples of core desire and copy?
Well, I can show you another core desire, and then we can kind of look into the examples. So One of the stated desires that people say is that they want to make more money, they want to get more done, they want to grow their business. We've all heard that. We've probably bought a lot of these programs. But the core desire is that they really want to feel accomplished and also, prove it to themselves, prove to others that they can accomplish something. Mm-hmm. And a really good example in there is with the SaaS company that I work with. They help e-commerce businesses with outsourcing their customer service, and it's on demand. So if for some reason they have a launch and they just need more people, they can contact these people without having to hire a call center or hire people in-house. So we found out that the core desire for this avatar is that they just want to move up in their career. And that's kind of the same thing as feeling accomplished. Now, do we say that in the copy that, this tool will help you move up in your career? Not necessarily. But what we do show is a lot of testimonials about these people who use this tool and how it's helped them focus on more strategic projects. And, they can easily connect the dots in how they moved up in their career because they're not just answering phones and chats and emails anymore. They're actually working on more strategic projects that are moving the needle in their business. And they can kind of see how that core desire is fulfilled in those testimonials.
I love that. Kind of comes again back to storytelling, right? The best tool we have. And, the one thing that's consistently kept people engaged and entertained, everybody worries about attention spans and they, you see all these Facebook video ads where people are waving stuff around in the beginning to try to get your attention and all this, and I'm like, tell me a good story. The one thing that hasn't changed is like every human will sit and dedicate hours of their lives to a good story, right? Mm-hmm. We all have our favorite shows. We still go to movies. We sit around campfires. We meet friends for coffee and we share stories. That's, someone was telling me, Serena Savage, who from Money Map Press, was just telling me that, one cool thing that they do at Money Map is they have table reads and they'll go through a VSL script. It reminded me of like a sitcom will have the Monday table read where everybody's reading through the script for the first time. And it's the first time the producers get to hear the jokes and everything, and they immediately go into rewrites, right? She was saying it makes a lot of sense for copy because it's such a story-driven visual format right now. So she said, like, focusing on story and dialogue would be her number one piece of advice for any new copywriter right now. And I think it starts with understanding the core desire, which stories you're going to focus on and develop. Start with understanding your avatar and their core desire.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that reading out loud part because that makes it really sound authentic because you're saying it out loud. And a lot of the times our copy can get really clunky or it just doesn't sound very natural. So that's why reading it out loud helps you to eliminate a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially if you can get other people involved. The real dream for a copywriter is to be able to, it's a cringy dream, but having somebody else read your copy out aloud to you, right? It's like, man, you'll take a lot of notes doing that,
Oh, yeah. Actually, it's funny because when my book came in, my boyfriend was reading it to me because he's actually like really curious and he was reading out loud. And I was like, oh, stop it. But this is actually kind of awesome.
Right. Keep going, but stop. Let's stop.
Yeah.
You got to pace this. Awesome. All right, Allison, another great one. Really appreciate it. Remember, everybody, it's takemymoneybook.com. Go grab the free download of the ebook right now. Get on Allison's list. Learn all about what she has to teach you about understanding your avatar and their core desire, split testing, and everything else that she spent a lot of time and energy learning and is actively doing with some of the greatest marketers on the planet. Allison Carpio, thanks a lot. We'll do it again soon.
Thanks. See ya, Copy Chief Live.
Yes. Can't wait. Hey, you want to be on the inside of all the best converting campaigns in marketing? The latest, greatest copywriting techniques. Find out what's really working today from people out there making it work, doing the testing, getting the results, sharing with you, reverse engineering, great copywriting, plus a whole catalog of trainings to help you do everything from write better story, better email, Facebook ads, YouTube scripts. We got it all for you inside at Copy Chief. Go check out copychief.com/join to learn how to become a member. And if you'd like my free book, The 60-Second Sales Hook, where I turned a joke formula into an irresistible sales hook that you can deliver in under 60 seconds, go to 60secondsaleshook.com. Grab yourself a free copy.